Darren Sharper is a former NFL player who was recently found guilty of drugging, sexually assaulting, and raping several women across several different states. He's only going to serve 9 years in prison thanks to a sweetheart plea agreement that prosecutors said they had to strike in part because the victims of these rapes didn't want to come forward and testify from the stand and have their identities known to the public. How strange. Why would rape victims worry about having their names known? It's not like we have a history in our society of stalking and abusing and defaming women who are raped. After Sharper does his time in prison, he'll be subjected to several restrictions that are designed to make sure he doesn't go around raping anyone anymore. Things like he's not allowed to have any alcohol. He can't go into bars or liquor stores. He'll be tracked by GPS. There's a moratorium on online dating. And there will be a machine hooked up to his penis to tell when he is and is not aroused. That last one, that's serious. That's a real thing. That apparently they do in Arizona sometimes to sexual offenders. He won't definitely have to go through with this test, but it is something that Arizona does to some sexual offenders. And in his plea agreement, he agreed to undergo this. It's known as a penile plethysmograph. And the idea is that a band is placed around the penis, 2 bands actually, and then the subject is shown titillating imagery, and the researcher in charge will judge whether or not the man has become aroused. In past cases, this test has been used to tell exactly what causes a sexual deviant to be aroused in the hopes that identifying that will make it easier to take measures to reduce the chances that he will reoffend. But in Sharper's case, there are already so many measures in place, it's really not clear what this test would accomplish. What is clear, though, is that the test is most likely utter bullshit. There have been past studies that show that it's remarkably easy for most men to fool this test by simply thinking of other things while they look at whatever imagery they're being shown. Add to that the fact that desire and arousal and sexual assault are all very complicated issues, and people don't necessarily rape other people just because they can't control their level of arousal. And also, people don't necessarily like to do the things that they like to watch other people doing. Sharper's plea deal also says that he must submit to a lie detector test, which means that there are possibly 2 tests in his future that science shows are completely worthless and that Sharper could cheat if he wanted to. It seems like the point of these tests is just to make the rest of us feel a little bit better about an admitted sexual predator being released onto the streets. But to really make a difference in that regard, the state of Arizona should drop those tests and instead support Senator Katie Hobbs' legislation, which would force state officials to go back and collect all of the untested rape kits that they have on file and organize them, make an inventory, and then submit a report to Congress on what the hell they plan to do about it. That's going to do a lot more for public safety than a couple of pseudoscientific tests.